computer, and then we'll get moving right along here. So our theme today or this week is all about the neck. So it's a little bit more anatomically focused rather than philosophically focused, but I wanted to make a little bit of a neck remedy because so often, especially because we do so much on computers and looking at screens, we're trying to focus, and so we pull our head forward, and you can see, whereas if I'm like holding my skull on my spine, this is kind of a lengthened space, but when I go and start looking forward, you can see the curve pull into the back of the neck, and then things feel tight back there and aggravated. So today we are going to do some stuff to open up the neck, and of course we'll also be doing some upper back release and strengthening, because that's going to contribute to that crunchiness in the back of the neck. So a lot of our work will be doing kind of self-monitoring, checking in with the head and what's going on. So we'll start in a seated position, anything that's comfortable, any position that enables you to sit up tall and get the sense of stacking your skull on top of the head. If you want to sit on a block, that's often a really nice way to get a little bit of lift, depending on how your hips feel. I always like a block. So just take a moment and find that vertical position. Really envision the pelvis as like a bowl, and then envision the barrel of the rib cage sitting right above that bowl. And then the final piece is we've got maybe our head is a piece of fruit, just nicely stacked above our barrel and our bowl. So just getting a sense of stacking here, and monitoring the stacking is going to be our endeavor during our flow today. But we'll start with a little bit of shoulder warm up. So one at a time, rolling the shoulders back in space here. And as you do this, keep encouraging the back of the neck to lengthen. So I always describe it almost like drawing the skull back in space. If you're used to holding the head forward, you will feel like you are moving it backwards. And you'll get used to the sensations. So just we're starting to lubricate the shoulders there. I'm just letting one more person in. Rolling one at a time in that seated position. And now we're going to add what I call a fanning motion. So if you take your hands, taking one in front of the other with a little space between them, and then make some circles like you were pushing the air towards your body and you're in that seated position, just doing this cyclical motion. The elbows can be wide. And as you do this, try to encourage the back of the neck to lengthen. I had a teacher who called this heart fanning, and I really liked that image of just fanning, like stoking a fire in your chest, in your heart, in your neck area. So as you're lengthening the back of the neck, I'm just going to lock our Zoom room here. As you're lengthening the back of the neck in this seat, doing this fanning motion, start to almost feel like you're drawing the chin towards your throat. Almost like you were just closing off that underneath the jaw space with this fan, and see if that feels maybe a little challenging for the upper back, like you're getting a stretch already. It's very possible. We'll just do a few more seconds of fanning here. It's like a great image of getting things moving. And then let that fanning go. You can just let the arms come down by your sides, and we'll come onto our backs for a brief low bridge here. So feet will be on the floor, legs slightly apart, aligned with the hip joints, and the knees pointing up to the ceiling. Even here, start to imagine you could draw the base of the skull towards the mat, lengthening the back of the neck. And then you're going to hold on to that, check in with the ribs, and try to encourage them to consolidate here. So oftentimes we start to lengthen the back of the neck, and the front of the ribs in response are like, I'm going to flare up to the ceiling. So in this moment, we're just going to take stock of what's happening in the ribs and maybe just gently encourage them to draw towards your midline, not flaring up to the ceiling. Heading to our low bridge, we'll plant into those feet, Curl the tailbone up and lift the pelvis off the mat here. Keep encouraging the chin to draw towards the throat. So if that feels challenging, that's totally fine. Just notice that. And maybe it will change in the next 30 minutes, 20-ish minutes. So just getting a sense of the glutes, waking up here. And then a next option is to take the arms wide in goalposts. So bending the elbows, coming to also known as cactus arms, letting the back of the arms rest on the floor. And this is a nice gentle chest opener. Once again, check in with the ribs there and just encourage them not to flare up and away. That's gonna add more aggravation to the back. And then slowly, slowly we'll lower sequentially through the spine, lowering the thoracic spine and then the low back, the lumbar spine. And then the pelvis will land on the floor once again. Those arms can come down by your sides, plant the palms into the mat. Inhale here, check in with that neck, try to lengthen it. And then exhale, peel the chin towards the throat. You're just gonna lift the head as if you were looking towards your belly button. Nothing else is gonna pick up, so those shoulders are still down. And then inhale, lower. We'll do 3 more of those. So exhale, peeling that chin up. You might not look towards the belly button all the way, but just some sense of lifting the head. This is like doing ab work for the neck. And then inhale, lower. 3rd time, exhale, lifting that head off the floor. Inhale, lower. And last time here, I feel it quite a bit, which is very revealing. Lifting the head off the floor. And inhale, lower. From here, we'll do a brief little core wake up. We won't do too much today. Bring the knees over the hips if that feels okay. And then reach the arms above the shoulders, reaching towards the ceiling. Palms are facing towards each other. Hold on to the rib cage here and hold on to the back of the neck. So this is just a stabilization exercise. We'll reach the right arm away from the right knee. So at the same time, the arm and leg are gonna lower towards the floor. You can keep the bend in the knee. And then exhale, bring it back towards our starting position. Inhale here. Exhale, move left arm and leg away from each other. Only go as far as you can, holding on to that chin and the ribs. And back to neutral. Inhale. Exhale, right arm and leg. These are called dead bugs. Reaching away from each other, feeling the core stabilize. Back to neutral. Inhale. Exhale, left arm and leg. Keep checking in with the back of the neck here. We're really trying to train our brain to hold on to that length. Back to vertical. We'll do 1 more on each side and then be done. Right arm and leg reach away from each other. Only go as far as you can, keeping nice stable front body. Back to vertical. And last time, left arm and leg. Back to neutral. And just draw the knees in towards you for a second. As you do this, broken record here, but do lengthen the back of the neck. Try to encourage the back of the skull towards the floor. And see if that feels different than what you normally would do. And then we'll come up and around onto all 4s for a table, or in LYT, as we call it, quadruped. So you'll plant the wrists right under the shoulders here and the knees under the hips. And we'll do 2 things in this position. The first is going to be a hip opener mobilizer, and the second will be something to release the neck. So you'll lower the right forearm to the floor, elbows right under the shoulder, slight bend in the left elbow here. You can reach the left leg back, prop the toes on the floor, and then if it feels okay from here, you'll lift the left leg off the floor and then open up the pelvis. So you're actually externally rotating on that right hip, almost like you were in a modified side plank, so those left toes are facing somewhere towards the side of the mat, and then draw the knee back to your starting position. So when we do this, you can continue kind of that methodical pace of reaching back, lifting the leg and opening the pelvis. Or if you want to make it a little bit more of a swing action and blur the transitions, that's fine too. Now you're thinking, okay, this is hips, not neck. But to pay attention to the neck here, bring the gaze almost in between the elbow and the planted left hand, and get the sense almost like you were pulling the back of the skull towards the ceiling. And you'll feel as you do that, the front, the core, the whole kind of front of the trunk has to wake up. We'll do just one more there. Lower the left knee and we'll switch sides. So plant the right hand under the shoulder. We'll lower the left forearm if that feels okay. We'll take this first one nice and methodically, reaching the right leg back, prop up on the toes, check in with the neck here, and then open up the left hip joint so that pelvis opens to the side of the mat. And then return the right knee under you. And once again, you can take keep this pace. And then the next option is to almost make it a sense of a swing. We're getting the glutes warmed up here. But once again, we're telling our brain that you have to practice this stability with the neck and the chin. We don't want the chin to fall to the floor. And we'll take a few more reps here. Just one more. Good, and the right knee lowers. Bring the left hand back to the mat. Let's sit the hips back briefly for a child's pose. Big inhale here. Exhale through the mouth, releasing effort for a second. Exhale. And then shift forward, we'll return to our quadruped stance. And now's our neck release. And this is a little subtle, but keep the arms straight and start to draw the shoulder blades towards the spine. As you do that, the chest is going to fall between the arms. From here, release the head, almost tucking that chin towards the throat like you were looking between your legs, and you'll feel a bit of a stretch. From here, press the hands into the floor, and we'll push the upper back up towards the ceiling for like a cat position. And then inhale back to neutral. So that neck is nice and long in our starting point. From here, that chest is going to fall through the arms as the shoulder blades pull towards the spine. Release the chin towards the throat, bringing the gaze between the legs. And then push into the hands for our cat, really spreading the shoulder blades apart here. You can almost feel the junk starting to move out there. And we'll do just one more. So flatten out to your neutral position. Holding onto the front of the core, the chest will fall, shoulder blades towards the spine. Let the chin go. Lengthening the back of the neck there. And then push into the hands, puff that back up. Ooh, you can even kind of shimmy side to side with the ribs. And then return to neutral. We'll tuck the toes and go ahead and get started. So come into a down dog, lifting those knees. It's a little bit short here. You can keep the knees bent. Once again, get a sense of drawing that chin towards the throat. So you might bring the gaze back towards the feet. We want to encourage ourselves to always do this with the neck. From here, step the left foot forward, lower the right knee under the hip, but we'll swing the right shin over to the left. So you're going to open towards the right side of your mat. We're in a half kneel warrior variation position. Left forearm to the thigh, and then we can pull the right elbow up towards the ceiling, palm facing away. You'll feel this stretch radiating down the right side, maybe into the front of the right hip. Next option is to take the heel of the right hand and just bring it to the bony part of the base of the skull on the right side of the head. And just not pushing into the head, but just let a gentle weight of the hand kind of stretch out the side of the skull there. Even if the skull is releasing, keep encouraging that chin to draw towards the throat, and you'll feel that beautiful stretch in the side of the neck. Rise up if you've got that side bend going. Plant the hands to the back of the mat. We'll step to plank with the right foot. And then lower the knees. They can be more towards a quadruped or you can be on an incline here. And then bring the gaze forward so chin draws up. Keep the head where it is, just draw the chin towards the throat. So your gaze is going to come towards the floor. This is an ideal neck position in our plank. Bend the elbows to lower to the floor here. And plant that forehead on your mat. Keep the hands where they are. Inhale, draw the hands back as if you were coming to a cobra. Like you could pull the palms towards your pelvis. Turn your glutes on and lift the front of your core here. So your forehead's going to stay anchored. Essentially what we're doing is telling the back to engage as if we were doing a chest opener, but we're kind of limiting the range for the front of the body. Release that tension. Let the shoulders relax. And once again, anchor the pubic bone, lift the front of the body. Inhale, draw those shoulder blades towards the spine. Just slightly, almost like they were pulling towards the pelvis. And release. This time we'll place the hands behind the head. Draw the skull up into the hands. Anchor your pubic bone, and now inhale, lift the chest, keeping the neck in this nice lengthened position. We'll release, plant the hands under the shoulder, tuck your toes, and lift to your down dog. Find that length in the back of the neck here. Bend in the knees. We'll step the left foot forward for half kneel. Stepping the foot forward, lower the right knee, untuck the toes, and inhale, arms lift. Getting some stretch here through the side body. And then the left hand comes behind the pelvis. Right hand comes behind the skull. Once again, draw the skull back into the right palm. And then keep the skull in this position. We'll look right, back to center, and look left. Back to center, look right, back to center, and look left. Back to center, bring the fingertips to the floor. Tuck the back toes. Turning to your right will come to the front of the mat. Walking yourself around, toes will face forward. Bend into the right knee for a bit of a bent knee pyramid here. So you can keep the fingers on the floor, or if that's too much, you can lift up onto blocks. Or the next option is to plant the hands on the right thigh. From here, exhale, draw the chin towards the throat to lengthen the back of the neck, and then pull up the front ribs away from this right leg. You don't have to have the left heel anchored as if we were in a warrior one or anything. You could keep the heel off the floor if that feels okay. If you have the fingers on the floor, we'll all bring the hands to the right thigh and then step the left foot in, coming behind the right knee for a curtsy squat. Palms come together in prayer. And then inhale, left foot steps next to the right, arms extend. Open the arms wide in a T position and then press the palms away from you. So you're flexing the wrist there. We'll side bend left, keeping the arms on this line. Let the neck release towards the left ear. And inhale back to vertical. Palms to heart center, left foot steps behind for curtsy, bending in the knees and sitting the hips back. Left foot steps next to the right. Inhale, arms reach wide, pressing the palms away from you, and then side bend left, exhale. Inhale back to vertical, palms together, step for your curtsy, left foot behind. Exhale there, and then inhale, feet step together, arms reach, open them wide for your T, and side bend left. Really turn the glutes on there to anchor the pelvis, just letting the left ear fall towards the shoulder. And inhale back to vertical, hands come to prayer here, and then kind of use them as an anchor on your ribs. We'll start to slide the left foot back, bend into the right knee for a tilted crescent. Imagining a bit of a diagonal from the back of the skull all the way to the left heel. So get a sense of where you think you are, and then flatten the left palm on the front of the ribs, right hand behind the head. Draw the skull into the right hand. Use the left palm to kind of siphon up the ribs, keeping them in line. And see if that feels different. From here, we'll try to plant the left hand, twisting open for a twisted crescent, opening the torso to the right side. You can keep the hand behind the head or fly it up towards the ceiling if that feels okay. If this is too much, you can lower the left knee under the hip for a twisted low lunge. Great variation. We'll all turn to our left for side lunges, turning the feet to face that side of the mat, and then bending into left knee and hip, right leg is straight, and bending into right knee and hip. You guys know probably that this is maybe my favorite move of all time. So moving side to side here. Good, and bend into the left knee and hip, pause there for a second. Feeling the crease in the left hip. And then walk yourself back to the top of the mat. We'll plant the hands and step back for a down dog. Lengthen the back of the neck, drawing the chin towards the throat. And we'll start the other side. So step the right foot forward, lower the left knee, and we'll swivel the shin over to the right, opening to the left side of your mat. Right forearm can come to the right thigh, bit of a side bend there, and then maybe pull the left elbow up towards the ceiling. You can release the right ear towards the shoulder. And maybe bring the left heel of the hand just to the base of the left side of the skull. Gentle weight there, nothing too intense. We'll inhale, lift back to vertical. Plant the hands at the back of the mat and come to a plank. You can lower the knees here, take a second to turn the glutes on, and then lift the chin to bring the gaze forward. Just draw the chin towards the throat, bringing the gaze back towards the floor, but you keep that length in the back of the neck. And we'll bend the elbows to lower to the floor. Forehead plants here. We've got a cobra without much lift. Inhale as if you were drawing the shoulder blades down the back, pulling the palms towards the pelvis on the mat, and exhale, release. This time we'll head straight to our cobra, bringing the hands to the back of the skull, elbows wide. Draw the skull up into the hands, anchor your pubic bone, and inhale, lift the chest. So legs stay anchored here, lengthen the back of the neck. And exhale, hands plant, downward dog. Lifting the pelvis up. You can keep a bend in the knees. We'll step the right foot forward for half kneel. Left knee lowers, untuck the toes. Inhale, arms lift. Right hand behind the pelvis, left hand behind the skull. Draw the skull back into the hand here. And then look left, look right. Check in with the front of your ribs, look left. Through center, look right. Fingertips come to the floor. We walk ourselves to the left, returning to the front of the mat for bent knee pyramid. Bend into the left knee, really creasing in the left hip here. Fingers on the floor, on blocks, or planted onto the left thigh. From here, everybody draw that chin towards the throat. The gaze will probably move back towards the left foot. And then pick those ribs up away from the left thigh. If they're not there already, we'll move the hands on top of the left thigh and step the right leg in for our curtsy. Palms come to prayer at the heart. Sitting the hips back. Right foot plants next to the right. Inhale, arms lift. Next to the left. Arms open wide and we side bend to the right, flexing the wrists here. Inhale through vertical. Exhale, right foot steps back for our curtsy. Hinging at the hips. Again, keep that chin drawn towards the throat. Right foot next to the left. Inhale, open the arms, and exhale, side bend right. Release the ear if that feels okay. Inhale, lift. Last time, exhale, right foot crosses for our curtsy. Inhale, extend. Side bending to the right as the arms come wide. Flex those wrists. And inhale, lift. Palms come to heart center. We'll slide the right leg back for this tilted crescent. So you get a bit of a hinge in the left hip here. And then draw that chin towards the throat, lengthening the back of the neck. As a little check-in, you can flatten the right hand on front of the ribs and the left hand behind the head. Draw the skull into that hand. So it's a lot of core work to keep the neck where is, quote, healthiest. Heading to a twisted lunge, you can plant the right hand, keep the right knee long, open your twist to the left. You also could lower the right knee. Yogi's choice here. Feeling some opening in the left side body. And then turn to the right side of your mat, bring the feet to face the side of the mat for your side lunges, bending into right knee and hip and left. Moving side to side. If you want to add this time a little push of the ribs, when I bend my knee, I push my ribs in that direction. So bending left knee, push the ribs left. Bending right knee, push the ribs right. You can do this with the hands on the legs, on the pelvis. Just getting a little side opening because it's all connected. It all impacts the neck, the low back, etc. Pause when you bend into the right knee and hip next time. Bring that spine towards neutral. One last check-in with the back of the neck. And we'll just turn to come onto our back. So turn towards the front of the mat and shift onto your back in any way that feels good. We'll recline into the same position we started with, just for a few moments. And a nice neck hack I like here is either bringing a block under the skull, or you can roll the edge of the back of your mat into a little Swiss roll shape and just bring that right to the base of the skull. And it'll encourage the chin to draw towards the throat. Find any position that's comfortable and just release for a few moments. You might feel like the low back is actually kind of expanding and releasing right now. And that is because the curve of the cervical spine, which is the neck, and the lumbar spine, which is the low back, are what are called sympathetic. So they curve in the same direction. And because of that relationship, any tension or activity or disruption in one of them impacts the other area. So if our neck is tight, usually we'll feel it also in the low back. And if the low back is aggravated, we might feel it in the neck. So just a fun fact about the interconnectedness of our structure and the power of putting attention in one place and how it almost can like grow a garden elsewhere as well. If you have the time or you'd like to today to stay longer in your Shavasana, feel free to mute the video. If you are ready to move, deepen your inhale through the nose. As you exhale, consolidate the front of the rib cage and encourage that chin towards the throat. One more time. Big inhale. And on your next exhale, slowly make your way up to a comfortable seat, keeping the eyes closed. And when you get to that seat, sense if, without using your hands, you can find that skull more on the axis of the spine in that stacked position. Maybe the muscles are more open and available than they were when we started. And just sense any change. Thank you so much for joining me today in this practice. I hope the neck feels remedied and a little looser. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna stick around if you have questions about the neck or anything we did today. Please feel free to pop them in the chat or email me, stay, we can talk about it. Otherwise, I hope to see you again this week, and if not, have a great week and a beautiful weekend. See you sometime.